So our concern is that these hospitals cannot do any expenditure when they're not getting their payments in time. What is the decision of the Senate? Yeah.
My presidency is still on the floor.
Yeah.
My presidency is still on the floor. Let me make a point that I can close on it. I can close on it. I think I can help find a solution. Yeah, maybe you can find, but let me just get a former man on the floor. Firstly,
I want to talk to people, but I didn't know you're going to ask that question.
they intend the law can say it must be on the scene there, scene there must be like number four. I will not intend the law. If I'm going to get up to my 35.
So I think we can close on the matter. Well, what we need to know is a law. It's in the PFN law. So senators to reverse for these transactions to flow freely. So on the same issue.
Yeah, what want to say? But why I want to make your point, man, protest because the law can say on the telephone and it's on the same telephone you.
So we can continue the debate while we find the solution. So Senator Michael, you're done?
No, we just conclude.
All right. After Senator Michael, Senator Taylor, followed by Snow.
I have never seen any law in the world that grant you the authorizing body in the authority say you have made 30 points to disburse money. And I see made 30 points say if you not use the money, I will withdraw the money. If finance minister have up to the 30 points to disburse money to my account, finance minister cannot be saying on the 30 points I will spend the money. If I don't spend the money, they will take the same money. So the Senate need to be cognizant of the fact that they are even violating the intent and purpose of the law. So I think the Senate needs to write because I'm not intent because they put you have space to spend money. So if finance minister have up to the PFN law say up to the 30 points, they can disburse money. That on a scene 30 points, they can be saying we should spend the money. So I think first the finance minister need to revise that memo. And secondly, by the 30 points, they need to inform us. So how much was outstanding or incommitment that was not disbursed, they need to inform us. So I think we should communicate with finance minister on that.
Thank you.
Make that point, so.
Senator Taylor, followed by Senator Snow.
Expenditure, paper trail, financial document, allotment, all that thing, they got updated the 31st of March. After the 31st of March, no more transaction on the previous budget. That's what the law says. When they pay you and your money in your account, the 31st does not take it away. They should not take it away.
Information on
There are other reports. I'm quite sure that we have had these conversations before, where other reports had heads of agency responsible for not remitting balances in their account to the consolidated fund account. We have had many other reports. This issue is being raised by the Auditor General every time they audit. Even some of the state-owned enterprises that government sometimes fund, the Water and Sewer Hosting Authority. In those reports, you see that the Auditor General held them responsible for not remitting what was left in our accounts as of the 31st of March. for that year. So it's the law. I think what has now been brought to light is that there's some contradiction or certain things that we need to clarify in the law in the future. So at this point in time, the pro tem, the leadership can take seize of this, have a conversation with the Minister of Finance, and give the counties the leverage to use the money over a certain period of time, so that discretion can be exercised at this point in time, since indeed the money was not paid in time.
But there was information.
Yeah, there was information, Senator
There was
Taylor.
information we
Senator
have
Snow, afterwards, Senator Snow. Yeah. Senator Taylor, stay on the floor.
Thank you. Madam Pro Tem, when the county health facilities don't get support, it is the legislature. When the legislature makes appropriation and the executive does not fund the appropriation, it is the legislature. We must be deliberate here to pass on the clear message that the health facilities, last week we called the CHOs here, as they were coming, the finance ministry were preparing their check. All of them here say, as we speak, they're calling up to get our check. If we are not called, probably the check would not be prepared. And then on the 31st of March, then they say, they have actually allowed, we can get the money. If they get it for the money, they should not take it for them after the 31st. If the paper trail is still in process up to the 31st, that's a different thing. That's a different thing.
Yeah. Senator Moore. We need to close on the.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem, distinguished senators. We have to find a way forward, and I want to suggest, Pro Tem, that plenary takes seize of this particular component of the discussion before the hearing is concluded. I think we'll have a way forward that we can give that instruction. So we allow the other component to be deliberated on. Yes. So at the conclusion of the hearing, on that particular matter, a decision will be made.
So it is all already on the floor. Senator Chin.
Senator Nokwe, as I advised you, we shouldn't make the plenary to do further consultation through your office or through the leadership. We shouldn't make rush decision on this floor. We should consult more with the Minister of Finance, and because we have up to the 31st of March, we still have time to talk to the Minister of Finance, look at what the law says, and we can derive a way forward. But we should desist from making decisions on. I have the floor. This needs consultation, according to my opinion. We need consultation. Whatever decision we do on this floor to be able to be implemented. So projects as my advice, leadership to take seize of the matter, and we should do further consultation.
So let's hear from the Finance Ministry before we continue. Let's hear from the Finance Ministry.
Okay, let me just read what's in the chapter, the balance in appropriation. In accordance with Section 27 of the Public Financial Management Act, at the close of the fiscal year, funds released to a government institution will which have not been spent shall be the balance in appropriation, and the head of the government institution shall submit a statement of undischarged commitments within 15 working days at the end of the year to the minister. Any unpaid balances on commitments will also lapse at the end of the year, unless goods and services have already been delivered, in which case settlement must be made within 90 days of the end of the fiscal year. A head of an institution shall furnish the minister with a schedule of undischarged commitments, which may be properly carried forward together with unexpended balances of the previous year's appropriation that are available to finance their discharge. So
you're reading the law wrong there. The law is great.
So the law is not direct to say that they should reverse the payment. Huh?
No, Madam President,
So, former finance minister, give clarity on the law. Sarah, you're trying. Yep, let's make sure it's in the
Senator Dillon, I'm a senator now, I'm minister, so. Madam President, thank you. Thank you very much. First, I would like to support Senator Moi's position that maybe that plenary takes seize of this situation.
Sarah Connor, what does the law say? We want an interpretation.
Well, she's right about the law.
Mm-hmm.
However, in a case like this, where we're talking about life and death in the health sector, the law also gave discretion to the Minister of Finance to protect this money from being, reversed. As long as the funds are encumbered and the encumbrance is declared to the GAC when it comes to close the book, the money can be protected. Thank you.
So wait forward. So the Senate has agreed that we have to make sure that the money remains there for the hospitals to spend. So we will have that conversation with the finance ministry on the time frame. All right. So let's close on this matter and get to the next one. So are we finished with it? So we hear from the Ministry of Health now. We'll close on this particular matter. So we have to hear from the Ministry of Health, and then through the interaction we can have Ministry of Finance to answer more questions. I hear
Exactly. So they tell us to cover it before they say they get rid of it. One leadership, plain and what is that? No. It can be implemented. No, it can be implemented.
We hear from the Ministry of Health. Sign your arm. Yeah, so we'll get the presentation from the Ministry of Health.
Honorable President, good afternoon. And Honorable Senators, good afternoon. As per the communication that we received from the Senate, we were asked to give an update on the performance, the budget performance of the Ministry of Health and the health sector, as well as the distribution of medical supply from the Ministry of Health in. At the Ministry of Health, we received the $4.4 million from the government, and we purchased medications. The way it is at the ministry, we distribute medications per quarter. So for last year, we have 4 quarters distributions around the country. The drugs were taken, we usually purchase medication, take it to the CMS, which is the Central Medical Store, and it's the hub for medicines and medical supply. That medical store currently is being outsourced to the WFP with funding from USAID. We signed a 2-year contract with the USAID before this government took over. And after that, another 2 years took over. So they are fully responsible for keeping those medications. Within the Central Medical Store, we have 13 health programs, medications that are also supported by our partners. We have medication for HIV, medication for tuberculosis, we have medications, the essential medications, as well as programmatic medications. That's where they are kept. Once the medications are purchased, they are taken directly to the Central Medical Store, and WFP will now start the distribution to the 13 county depots around the country. We have 36 hospitals across the country, and we have 13 depots. We say 13 because for Monrovia and Monrovia, the WFP takes it directly to the various health facilities. When the drug now get to the depot, we also have a partner that takes it directly to the WFP also with the Ministry of support from partners, they ensure that all the hospitals, the health centers in around the country receive the medication. We also have Global Fund that supports the last mile distribution. For 2024, the total values that were dispatched was about 13 million plus, and that includes the medication from the government as well as that of the partners. The partners also have the mosquito nets. They have medications for that they also manage. In Q1, the first distribution started from March and it ended June 2029. The second quarter, the medications were distributed June 11, and the distribution ended August 7. For the third quarter in 2024, the distribution started August and it ended October. For the fourth quarter, it started November and it ended December. For this quarter, the distribution started January and it should end at the end of this month. Nearly all of the counties have received this quarter medication. I also want to bring to the attention the key challenge we have with this is that the free drugs, the sustainability of free drugs around the country. We did an assessment at the Ministry of Health, and to get free drugs around the country, you need $15 million, especially essential drugs. You need to have $15 to $20 million in the budget. So we received $4.4 million for drug distribution. So although we distributed the drug, every health facility has drug, but there will be needs because we short by about 11 point something million dollars, if you look at that. We also were asked to look at the budget performance for 2024. If we look at the sector overview, for the Ministry of Health, the fiscal year, 61 plus million was allocated. The outturn was 53 million, so we performed at 86% if you look at. For John F. Kennedy Medication and Medical Center, 7.4 million, a little bit over 7.4 million, was allocated. Outturn to date was 6.4 million, so about the estimated outturn. We cannot say exactly the outturn, is the estimated outturn. So about 87%. Phoebe Hospital and Nursing School was 1.1, a little bit over 1.1 million, and the estimated outturn to date is 1.6, so about 93%. The Liberia Board for Nursing and Midwifery, they allocated 162,000 plus. The estimated outturn 120,000 and 74% of performance. The Liberia Pharmacy Board received $257,579. The estimated outturn for 2024 was 259,543, and we outperformed, which made about 100%. For the Liberia Medical and Dental Council, the fiscal year 2024, they have 592,000 plus, and the estimated outturn for 574, so 97% performance. The Liberia College of Physicians and Surgeons, $1.3 million. The estimated outturn was 922, and the performance approximately 69%. For the Liberia National AIDS Commission of 594,000 plus, the estimated outturn was about the same and 100%. Jackson Dole Hospital, 2.5 million. The estimated outturn to this is 2.4, and you have 96%. For the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, 3.5 million, a little bit, and the estimated outturn 3.2, 94%. So that's the question. Those were what we were asked to do, and we were asked for the drugs that were distributed, the essential drugs. We brought the listing of the essential drugs, and we have distributed that. We were asked to give per clinic or per county, and we have that. We have already distributed 100%.
Distinguished colleagues, that was a presentation from the Minister of Health. The floor is open for interaction. Senator Nukwe.
Thank you, Protem. Madam Minister, I would like to get few things clear from you on. Okay, firstly, next time it will be a good thing to number the pages. Besides that, the list of hospitals that you submitted, you did header on the first page. It's important. It will be a good thing next time when you are people doing this report. Each page should have a header, so that we don't have to be coming back to know what column is that we are looking at. I mean, just for the ease of going through the report. But just on the, I think this is the second page, you said that you have a central medical store. And from the central medical store, drugs are dispatched to depots by WFP. I'd like to know why is it that WFP is involved, that this management of the CMS and distribution to medical depots across the country was outsourced to WFP. Why? I also like to know, because you indicated that this contract will expire on July 18, 2025, what is the plan? Will you still continue with the AFP? Are there ways by which Liberians can get involved to do the distribution? I also like to know, you said that from the report you received, there was an appropriation. Okay, the other question has to do with third-party providers, or third-party logistics. So from the central depots in the counties, you have third-party logistics to dispatch the drugs to 439 health facilities. So your appropriation was 61 million, as indicated in this report. You have received checks for 53 million, and you have a commitment of 6.6, rounding it up to $6.7 million. And then you have $2 million, a little over $2 million uncommitted. I'd like to know, taking into consideration all of the issues that been raised about health fund not being adequate or have not been adequately funded. Government gave 61 million, appropriated 61 million. On what basis that 2 million was left uncommitted and will not be spent? I'd like to know that. Then specifically on my EV, I see that yes, for CH Running Hospital, from the report, all the payments been made, no commitment. The Center Health Center, Developmental Health Center, but specifically the Kakaka Health Center, out of an appropriation of 100,000, they received only 25,000, and 74,000, almost 75,000 committed. And also the Marshall Health Center, 20,000 appropriated, only 5,000 received. Almost 15,000, 40,900, let's say 15,000 committed. On what basis? What is the problem for which these other health centers were able to get their appropriations paid, or they receive what was appropriated? And these two health centers have not even getting maybe 30% of what was appropriated. Thank you.
Yeah, you can go ahead and answer.
Senator Ndukwe, we take note. As it relates to the Central Medical Store, the question was why we have the DFP taking over the Central Medical Store. In the past, there was some misappropriation. The partners, that's where they keep the medications. Over $100 million medications, approximately $100 million worth of medications was misappropriated. And the partners took and asked the ministry to take those involved to court. The case is still with LACC. As we speak currently, the partners again, the case, they're still doing investigation. They brought OIG from Geneva, and I think the US to do another investigation last week. So they are now going to the counties to do investigation on these medications that got missing. Although the first, when I took over, they did show me where they showed me like a template of where the medications went, but up until now, there hasn't been any real, there were some arrests that went on, but they haven't been taken to court. I don't know how far LACC with that case. I cannot really speak to it. So that's why. So based upon that, the former ministers and the UC partners agreed that they will manage the workforce because They have a lot of the medications, a lot of the drugs, even when they buy beds, whatever they procure is kept there. So it was decided that they take over the handling of the medical store. So since then, they have taken over the central medical store. And the next question was the last mile distribution. Who takes the last mile? So the partners again decided, along with the Ministry of Health, that they would do the distribution to the last mile. And the Global Fund contacted some local companies to take the medications to the last mile in 13 counties. In 2 counties, they take it themselves, but in 13 counties. It's possible that Liberians can do that, but it has to be over a period of time that capacity built, that we have people working along with them to be able to get the capacity and the funds available for that also, because it takes a lot of money. And integrity, I think one of the things that we have to look at also is integrity. Because if you have the partners put about $1 billion worth of drugs and medical supplies in there, the integrity also counts a lot. When you talk about the date of expiration with the contract, there was another contract that was signed with UC that should expire 2027, I think. And I spoke with, because of this pause, and I just want to know that the only thing that has been lifted on UC pause was the CMS. Everything is still at a standstill, the pause is still there. So the UC pause, the only one that was lifted in Liberia is the management of the CMS. So they are currently managing the CMS. When I spoke with the head, he said that the contract that was signed, he's still waiting for his bosses to give him a go ahead whether we continue the contract or not. So we are still waiting to hear from him. I think did I answer all your questions? McGivey. Okay. So it comes back to finance ministry. We have made all the requisition, we took it to finance ministry. So why some health facilities got 25% and others got 100%, we could ask the finance ministry to give us a little more insight into that. So when they uncommitted, because sometimes you do, when you place who on salaries, because we have 61 million. So sometimes when you place who on salary, because you're still doing verification, or somebody did not come to work, that person was suspended. Or if you do some procurement and it was in the budget that the procurement was $2 million, and you did some procurement and there was some purchasing that was lower than that. That's how we have this $2 million, the difference of $2 million.
Okay, so just one last one.
And still,
Get one last one. You have 600,000 for the reconstruction of St. Bernard Hospital in the last budget. Did you receive that money? And if you received the money, what is the status of that money?
So, permit me to respectfully disagree. It was $250,000, I'm sorry. And I think from 600 reduced to 250,000, we haven't received that yet.
Yeah, okay, so
You haven't received it. Has it been committed? Was it committed? Or is it part of the $2 million you talk about that is uncommitted?
I can say it's uncommitted. The issue with C.H. Rennie Hospital is that the land. Because before, from the end of the Ministry of Health, we make the request and finance is the one that makes the payment. So the land, on the current land, the space for C.H. Rennie is very small. So we spoke with the superintendents or other elders. I think we also spoke with you and Dr. Magill, that we needed bigger space. Because so we have done this, we went and we got the land, the community gave the land. So the surveying of the land, because before finance commits, they have to have a deed. The space currently at C.H. Rennie is very small, the place. So that place, what we were thinking, after we have all discussed, to be used for the health worker quarters. So we build a health worker quarters there. And I think it's like 4 of how many acres that we have acquired now. And this year we could start construction of the CS running there if it meets the approval of the county.
How many available for tea running by the year?
250,000.
The total money available in the budget.
250,000.
Even last year and this year.
They didn't receive last year money.
It was 600,000.
Yeah, so 600,000.
They didn't receive.
So this year specifically, the president, when the president in the budget, he mentioned CS running in a president letter to the Senate or to the legislature. CS running was mentioned. Are you saying that only 250,000 from last year, 2024 and 2025, only 250,000 in the budget?
Can I defer the question to the controller?
Yes. Yeah. So again, you know, the budget law really does not require us to carry forward. So
How much did we have in the budget for CS running 2024?
initially it was 500,000, but after the recast, it got reduced to $208,000. To $208,000. So it's the 250,000 this year.
But CS running money was not reduced in the weekends.
We're not reviewing. No, I know.
I saw the report. I know I put in. I saw the final budget that says 500,000 should be in the budget for 2024. So you have 250 in this budget.
So in 2025 it's 250, and I know 2024. If you look at the budget figures, you know that the final budget figure was 208,000 for CS training. Thank you.
But the president
Yeah, so we need to follow up on that. If we pass the budget with 500,000, it will reduce to 208,000. There's a whole new issue there that we have to address.
Yeah, because I don't believe the president will be misleading the public.
And it's been almost 2 years we have not done anything with the CS running issue. So what's the conclusion on CS running?
Honorable Pro Tem, definitely this year we will start with the CS running construction.
So what is your estimated cost for building CS running?
Okay, but I think that the estimate was close to 6 million, I think. But
The previous one. You
yes.
were doing new design.
Because you cannot do the new design without getting a deed. The landing. The reason, Honorable, why we say that, because we have a lot of court cases, some court cases, that people claiming the property is theirs that the government built. And we do not have deeds for the property as we did our asset verification. So ready, if you could impress on the community that we get the deed. Once we have the deed, the construction will start.
All right, no, you're not recognized. Cyrus. Can just take the floor.
Program for the opportunity and good afternoon to the witnesses. Couple of concerns, questions. We're talking about drugs distribution here, and I want to know from the witnesses, especially the Minister of Health, is there any institution that exists called the National Drug Service? If that institution exists, what work is the CMS doing and what work is an NDS doing? And I see in your documentations that NDS was giving 80,000 to 84,500 and 49,500 of that money has been spent. And so I'm concerned, so we're talking about distribution of drugs here? And by the way, do we have an authority at the NDS? If we have an authority at the NDS, what are their functions? It is the authority at the NDS a presidential mandate appointed by president, or it's just an appointment? I'm concerned about that, Madam Minister. We need a clear response about that, the work of the NDS, if it exists, and that of the Central Medical Store. Because the last time you were here for hearing, I did mention about this CMS. We became very concerned about CMS and the NDS. I know many years back, the NDS was responsible for drugs. I don't know what the functions is like now, whether they exist, but I think it exists because the fundings in the national budget for which 49,500 has been allocated to. So you may want to ask that question, then I'll ask for a question. You may want to answer that question, Minister.
Thank you for that question, but again, I will refer that to the Ministry of State. I cannot answer that question. When it comes to the funds that you said was disbursed to the NDS, we recently got a check that hasn't been spent. I think 2 weeks ago, just a few weeks ago, with the name NDS. I cannot remember the figure on it. So we just got the check with NDS on it. So that money hasn't been spent. So what we were thinking, so that's it. That money hasn't been spent.
So further question, Madam Minister, you didn't answer my question. Does the NDS exist? Does it exist? The NDS, the National Trust, does it exist under your ministry, under your oversight?
So that's what I asked you to kindly refer. I'm unable to answer that question respectfully.
But yet the state money is being given to the national government.
National Drug Service?
Madam Minister, if you have a check in NDS name, that is in the ministry budget. So we should know if NDS exists or not. The ministry should tell us if that agency exists or not.
Honorable Protem, I again ask you to I'm referring it to the Ministry of State. I cannot answer that question.
Order, Senator Dillon.
Madam President, the Minister of the Witness here is on an oath. Referring us to the Minister of State is not an answer. The question is straightforward and pointed. Does the NDS exist? The Minister of Health should know. And not refer to the Minister of Health and of State. Chief, we're not going away with that insinuation. Does the National Drug Services exist?
Especially when I recall the president appointed a director to that agency.
All right.
So, and it's also in the, okay, he's there. Okay.
So you hear
wait 1 minute.
They can talk to the minister.
Wait 1 minute, sir. How did you come? Use a microphone.
So you're the NDS director?
No.
I
asked you the NDS director. How did you come here?
Don't do that. I came here as the managing director of the National Drug Service.
Who informed you?
The invitation was seen, and every day we monitor the activities of the Senate, and we saw...
Did you receive invitation to come?
No formal communication, but I saw in the media that the NDS was asked to come with the Minister of Health. Let me just come to the reason for which people...
Do we give the NTI the floor?
No.
Do we give the NTI the floor if you are not?
Yeah.
Was he invited? The NTI, if the NTI was not invited by the Senate, do we give him the floor or do we deal with it as a separate issue?
I gave you the floor.
I think we gave him the floor, Madam Pro Tem.
The NDR, we made a decision as plenary
Yes.
to have the witnesses here.
Yes. He should be placed
I was proud.
The Minister of Health cannot tell she doesn't know NDS exists.
Even the appointment of this,
That misleading.
he knows. Let me come to
Wait small.
It's a common function.
For the NDS director on
But why I'm going to
you are not invited. If you talk off, then we'll give the floor to the next director.
Presiding for the opportunity given to us in detail to
Point of order, man.
Would you ask the NDS director to speak?
Yeah, but why should I have a point of order?
They just authorizing to speak. Yeah. So like this. So why happy that
He has not said anything, so I know where the order has to be about a particular statement. He has not said anything. We already rule on that. Yeah, we rule on that. We rule on that. We just rule on that.
Yeah.
Said that y'all we rule on that. I just authorized the NDS director to speak.
Yeah.
thank you very much, Honorable Presiding Honorable Senators. for the opportunity given to us today to clarify this issue of contemplation as it relates to the name CMS and the National Drug Service, by virtue of historicity and the interchanging words as it relates to the word being interchanged has been used from one occasion to another differently. By virtue of the fact that the National Drug Service was established by an article of incorporation during the time of the War of 2002. Article of incorporation.
Just like APRC.
During the time of the War of 2002, when the international people were in charge of authority in this country, partners were members and signatory to this article of incorporation and the Liberian government based on situational approach. In 2015, by virtue of the fact that the country has celebrated the 10 years of peace, that called for the Liberian government to take charge of their own responsibility 100%. The NDS was transformed from the article of incorporation stage and placed under the Ministry of Health as a unit. If you can recall, prior to our appointment by the President of Liberia, Honorable Bwaka Bole was appointed by the President, George Weah. He's my immediate predecessor. By virtue of the fact that the Central Medicine Store is currently outsourced to WFP, and understanding that by 2025, this year, the 2 years contract will elapse, subsequently giving authority to the Liberian government team to take charge. We were appointed with the responsibility to create the preparedness of the institution. Liberian government have the sole authority and the responsibility to prepare an institution to take charge. Predicated upon that, we were appointed to join the management team of the National Drug Service. My deputies are there. Administration, quality assurance, and all of the structure, including human resource. Now, the responsibility, not just to prepare the institution to take charge after the WFP, but to also put into practice or activeness other functionaries that are attached to the NDS. Not just the procurement, the storage, and the distribution of the drugs at the Central Medicine Store that NDS is confined to. We have the responsibility to create a community outreach approach, which we forwarded to the minister upon our appointment. We met the minister and shared our vision with her. Since the Central Medicine Store, the storage area for medicine is already outsourced, pending the transfer of authority to a well-prepared Liberian team next year, July. There's a need for us to expand on other areas that are very important and also crucial to the interests of the people of Liberia. That is the community outreach approach, a revolving fund method. That was also forwarded to the executive branch as our vision. Now the Ministry of Health, we are now addressing the issue at the area she talked about, is implementing the community outreach approach in different forms, but we see it in different dimensions.
So,
There's
yeah,
let me
Director, we wanted to establish
yes,
if
so
the
we
NTI,
are currently engaged with
Yeah, but
the program talking, you don't talk.
we wanted to establish if the NDS exists, you were
Yes.
appointed as the director.
Yes.
The minister just said that there was a check written
Yeah.
to the NDS. In my mind, yeah, are you in is the NDS in the budget?
The current budget?
We're asking the minister, is the NDS in the budget? Because they have to be in the budget to have a check written.
The current 2025 budget, no.
2024.
2024, they were placed in the budget.
Okay, so
Ministry of Health.
alright, so if they were placed in the budget 2024.
So I ask you to refer the question to the Ministry of State.
You can refer. So if the president appointed a director of NDS, you can refer the question to the Ministry of State. You have to work for the president. You're on oath. Yeah, you cannot do that. So the cleric, we needed to know if the NDS exists. If a director was appointed, that means that the NDS exists. If the NDS was placed in the budget 2024, that means there was money provided for the NDS to function. So he's going further to present his programs, and that is not our interest. The interest is to know that the NDS exists, and with the director here, the NDS exists, and if money were placed in the budget and allotment made, then the NDS should be given the opportunity and given the money to function. And that's what the check is in the possession of the Ministry of Health. So I think that was the main issue here. And after that presentation, we can get some interaction. Yeah, Chief Senator Smith.
I just heard the National Drug Service is in 2025 national budget. Who made that to take it out?
Well, they have budget lines. Sometimes you don't make appropriation to some of the lines, but I think that the fact that they were in the 2024 budget, there's a check in question. I think that there where our conversation should be around.
Madam President, the signals non-existent. Madam President,
Madam President, I think the question is stand up. The question raised by Senator Gibbon Smith is relevant. The question that I have is, did the president dissolve the NDS?
Yeah, NDS.
Did the president rescind his appointment letter to the director? Did the president authorize the minister to dissolve that unit in the Ministry of Health, rendering it not to be in the 2025 budget when in fact it was in the 2024 budget for which she has received a check?
So the minister needs to answer that.
Yes.
So we'll come to you. We have a list. Madam Minister, can you respond to Senator Cornell?
Honorable, I respectfully ask you to I refer this question to the Ministry of State.
So the minister continue to. Senator Nukwe.
Pro Tem, Given. So, Madam Pro Tem, I think earlier on when we had our plenary session, there was this same issue that was raised about the application of the law, the presidency following the law. or vowed not following the law. I think this is similar to that. The director just explained that NDS was established through an article of incorporation by Guy Cleary with some international partners involved. And after a period of time, they transitioned to the CMS. And then the NDS was placed in the Ministry of State as a unit, but from its own words, as a unit. Mr. Head, as a unit. So if you are a unit, can the president appoint director for a unit in the Ministry of Health? So I think we should follow the lead of the minister and have some conversation with the president on this NDS issue.
Sarah Slow. That's what they're talking after. Would y'all listen to 3 more persons and then we'll make a decision.
Protem, distinguished colleagues, Protem, the healthcare sector in Liberia is in crisis. I think we must take this matter seriously. On the plenary of the Liberian Senate made a decision to invite the Minister of Health. It was not because we wanted to see the minister, because our people around the country keep crying, and we see that the healthcare delivery system is in crisis. To the extent where a Senate colleague in this very plenary said that he had recused himself from the health committee because the minister's lack of cooperation, or lack of better words, towards her posture towards the committee. That he had even recused himself from that committee. Protem, I would deal with the things I read, but it said Momo Saros. Say he had recused himself from the health committee because the minister has no regard for anybody on that committee. This is the Liberian Senate, man, Protem. You may have connections, network, but we are the people's deputy. We're elected here to represent the people. And if a minister can scare a senator to leave his own committee, that tells you that we are in crisis. Madam Protem, I will deal with 3 issues. There are a lot of issues here nationally that we all know about. But at the international front, the Ministry of Health is embarrassing Liberia under the leadership of the current minister. What am I talking about? Last year, when MPOX came around, the West African Health Organization, WAHO, under ECOWAS, made available $96,000 on the Ministry of Health for NFL to implement programs. That money was given to all West African countries, including Sierra Leone, that didn't even have impact. All ECOWAS member countries had implemented programs, but this ministry and NFL are forcing. So today, up to today, the money is still in ECOWAS account being threatened to send back to Abuja because the minister and NFL are not speaking. The minister says she cannot report to NFL, NFL says she cannot report to the minister, and because of that, they have crisis. Let the minister tell me if I'm wrong. I have the document here. That money is still on the ECOWAS account when everybody else, all ECOWAS member countries have spent that money
But Liberia, the report is the Ministry of Health and the National Public Health Institute, the two heads are forcing so the money cannot be expended. Man, protect distinguished colleagues. ECOWAS bought a ventilator on Wahoo for our healthcare system because we're having crisis. They procured a ventilator. The ventilator was at JFK, disappeared. Since last year, they stole the ventilator. Just yesterday, the health committee, and I'm saying that because the ECOWAS Parliament is on the committee, on the steering committee of Wahoo programs. Yesterday, when the health committee was meeting,
If you want to stay on the balcony, please be quiet. If you want to stay on the balcony.
Yesterday, as the health committee was meeting to discuss the crisis at JFK to have a ventilator, and the ventilator was stolen from the hospital. They asked, where is the ventilator? They say at the police station, at Central Police Station. They had to call the director of commissioner of police. They took the ventilator in the plastic bags to report it from the police station. It's been there for almost a year. When we need ventilator at JFK. Protem, ECOWAS under Wahoo. When you folks send us there, we don't go there to take pictures, we go there to lobby for our country. We got money for the extension of the Bow Waterside Clinic to extend that clinic in Great Cape Man County. The procurement department under the Ministry of Health forged a document, doctored a document on the procurement process, and that document has been disqualified. Wahoo now is questioning the process. They are sending people there in the next few days to go and inspect. The ministry, PPCC as usual, is conveyor. They just approve anything. Medication, and that's why I'm concerned about the NDS men speaking. Because the issue of medication, drugs coming to our country, Protem, is being now, it's a whole team organized by the minister where there is no proper accountability. One of the ministers have a private interest in a drug company or what nobody knows, but the healthcare people can tell you that. They just send no objection to PPCC, PPCC approval, and some of the drugs when we come to the country is paid for. We get that information to the public accounts committee to investigate it. The healthcare workers that were campaigning here and gives a vow to say you harmonize or we harmonize you and stood up here. They are crying the most in this country under that Minister of Health. Under that Minister of Health. The healthcare workers are crying. The health sector has been politicized. My minister, Protem, this Senate has to take charge or else our healthcare system will collapse. We have embarrassed ourselves here nationally, and the healthcare service center, the healthcare delivery system is being embarrassed outside Liberia as well. For people to give you $96,000 for a program, and Protem almost a year. The minister knows what I'm talking about. They have threatened to even take the money back. We have been lobbying the people insisting that you cannot take this money back. They will implement it. You go to the NFL, they say they cannot report to the minister. You go to the minister and say she cannot report to the NFL because the two of them are forcing. No implementation. Our people are dying. Let the Senate stand up and Protem and take the necessary action, or else the healthcare delivery system abroad will crash, and we all will have ourselves to blame and submit.
Senator Brown. Or the minister wants to respond. I think the minister should. Yeah, the minister should respond to Senator Snow, and then.
Snow, the first permits me to respectfully disagree with everything that you have said. You said that under the leadership of this minister internationally, we are we are losing relevance. That is not true. Currently, of the ministers of health around the world in WHO, I'm the chair, and I was elected as the chair. There is no decision that will be made at the highest level in WHO that I do not agree upon. But you talk about outside, what outside? So currently, before the WHO boss, Tetros makes a decision to consult.
Madam Minister, speak to the issue. There was specific questions.
Madam Minister. But he's talking about being embarrassed outside.
Madam Minister, he made specific references. When you are here for a hearing, you answer the questions as they come from the floor. It was not about WHO. Please speak to the issue. Those allegations, speak to those allegations.
So that's the first allegation. He talks about integrity. Who around the world, the caliber of ministers that we have around the world will not select person of no character to lead them. I'm the leader. I'm the chair. So I just want for you to have that is not true. Liberia, this is the very first time that Liberia has chaired as the head of the ministers of health. And I was elected. We are now going, I was called to the regional office.
Madam Minister, can you answer those allegations? Can you speak to those allegations?
I have to. He said we are embarrassed also, Honorable Pro Tem. So I'm telling him how respected we are also.
Okay, we agree to that. Can you answer to the allegations now?
So,
about ECOWAS issues and what has happened to the hospitals? Yeah. That was not the issue.
So the ventilator. Let me address the issue of the ventilator. The ventilation was stolen before this government came into being. We from this government detected that the ventilator was stolen. We called police at JFK. We called the CEO at JFK. We called the police to arrest because there was some unknown guy who brought the ventilator back after we started to search. That's the reason the NGOs took over the CMS, because the consistent misappropriation, the consistent stealing of things, the medical supplies. When you go to the hospitals, medical supplies getting missing. You go to the warehouse, 1 point something million dollars will get missing at night. So that ventilator, when it was snow, got missing during the last regime, and we, this regime, made sure that ventilator came back. That's the second point I want to make. So that's the kind of integrity we have. This particular Minister of Health and her team, there is no Minister of Health, not there is no, but the level of transparency and accountability and character that we bring to the ministry is unprecedented. This is the first time since we have taken over, no Minister of Health has made sure that essential medication service delivery is around the country. So it's just this, it's just they say. When you got mpox, I'm an epidemiologist. You know, when you talk about mpox, I can teach mpox classes. I know when to hold my gavel, and I know when to release my gavel. That's the kind of authority. When it comes to the WHO health sector, you have to know governance. And in governance, you know when to realign and reappropriate funds. So I'm not best using my governance. So there is no Minister of Health. You call any country around West Africa.
Madam Minister, you are here for a hearing, and if an issue is raised by a senator, please answer those specific issues. Please answer to those specific issues. Yeah. So you dealt with the ventilator. What was the next issue, Senator Snow? Okay, the ECOWAS issue. ECOWAS
money came February 3rd. February 3rd. Do we have impulse cases now, 2025? Do we have impulse cases? When the cases of impulse were there, the Ministry of Health was managing those health centers with the allotment that the ministry had, and sometimes personal funds that the partners in all brought. Did you see any fertility rate for impulse? So the money came February 3rd. We do not have cases of. So because money came into my account, I should just start using the money? they say. Hearsay. So no, because the person are giving the information should get.
Madam Minister, directly to the question.
Honorable Senator, I'm not speaking directly to you. It's the DC that coming and giving him information at the DC I'm speaking to. My apologies if you think it's you.
So are you saying that senators are acting up? They say you cannot address the senators in those manners.
Madam Minister, I'm not acting on the say. The ECOWAS Parliament is a member of the